This video is made for an adult audience. Hey brick fans, welcome back to the Brick Bakery, where all our jokes I have baked. I'm Jacob and today it's time to put in a waterfall in my Lego city. For the last 3, 4, maybe 5 videos, I have been working hard on the Lego Ninjago district in my Lego city, Bakersville. And last time I put in a small bar, which you people have given some great suggestions for, and I look forward to implementing some of all that in a later video. Today, I'll be working on integrating the Lego Ninjago city district with the raised section of my Lego city. So let's head over to Bakersville and I'll tell you more about this project. Here we are back in the Lego city. This is almost a full view of everything that's going on right now. So much of this seems more or less finished. However, there is a part of this city that's not finished entirely, and that's down here. If you have been following my channel for a while, you may remember that I talked about making a waterfall or an aqueduct to integrate the Lego Ninjago City District with the rest of this part down here. So I need to do something with the raised section in here to have that waterfall, and I also need to remove or move some of these stores down here so they can actually make room for the waterfall. Currently there are 5 shops down this row and I would like to keep all of them, but if I am to integrate this part in a way that makes sense, I have to move this little shop way up here to make the proper space for a waterfall up here. So that's what I'll be attending to right after I removed the Lego Ninjago City to start building on that. As you can see, the middle of this bridge is actually occupied by this shop down here, but I couldn't merely move this over here because it's too wide to actually fit this in a sensible way, which is why I have to move the 10 studs wide bit computer store, which is way down here. So first up, I'll remove this little flower shop to actually figure out how much room I've got to actually work with a waterfall. And that's all the storefronts moved, so the only one that's left is now Ernest Bookstore, which is way over here. Now I just get to figure out what kind of sequence I want for the other shops, and I have to put in the bit computer store right over here. That's 4 of the storefronts back in the city, and I have placed the colorful triplets back as well. So now you can really see how this looks. I like that this flower shop has actually gotten a little more visible after having been moved way over here and instead of standing behind all the things here in the marketplace. Now I just need to put in the bit computer store and put back in the Lego Ninjago City so I can actually get a sense of how much space I've got to work with. And this right here is where I will be putting the bit computer store. Now this is 4 studs wide up here. We've got 2 studs, and then a couple of studs more will be the width of the bit computer store. There we go, that's the bit computer store back in the city, and I think it looks pretty good here next to the radio station. I had to take off the sign just briefly to actually get everything in place. So now I will be putting back in the Ninjago City District, and we can see how much room we've got to do with. Wow, that is surprisingly even. The distance from the fence of the buildings or the small shops down here to the start of the bridge is exactly 1 stud on each side, and as the bridge here is completely symmetric, it's going to be pretty easy to fit something in here. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I've got 6, 8 and 6, which is 16 studs. in width to work with to make this here. Now I'm imagining some sort of mixture between a waterfall and an aqueduct. I want the road to be able to continue in some way, so have an arch, but I want the sort of formation to be natural looking. So a mountain with a tunnel through it. It's not going to be very big, but it's going to be there. And that means I'm going to have to rearrange stuff down here in the marketplace. But that's all right, because you have to modify your city once in a while. It all means that I have to remove this base plate right here to get started on that waterfall. So here we go. Here we are back at the build table, and as you can see, I've gotten out my trusty brush, and that's because this is pretty dusty. I'm gonna give it a good dusting over once I am done taking off all the minifigures and such. What I do know is that I have 6 studs width here and here, which is occupied by shops at the raised section. So it's going to be sort of here that the waterfall will be built, and that means that I'm going to have to modify all of this pretty significantly. Don't know if I'll make everything today, because it's going to be quite a job, and it may even involve tearing down parts of this lighthouse, but who knows, we'll see how it goes. I'll start out by removing all the minifigures and give it a good dusting. That's all the minifigures removed, and most of the marketplace as well. I've got to move some of these tiles here, and the road as well has got to be moved just a bit, so I can make room for some plates and such to actually scoop over the plate that's going to be behind this. That's going to be a little more easy to understand once I actually fit this back into the city, but trust me, it is needed. Yeah, so what I'll do now is remove these tiles here, and also remove a lot of these tiles, just to have sort of a blank slate to work with. And I removed all the tiles that was right here. Now I need to make a sort of a plate which can hold the waterfall, so I can actually sort of just remove this plate, and the waterfall will follow. So I don't have to sort of attach the waterfall to the base plates, which is underneath the Lego Ninjago district, because that's just going to be a hassle when I want to move it or get my hands underneath. So making this sort of a slidey function thing by using some tiles on the base plate over on the actual city is going to be very, very useful. So what I need to do is I need to add a layer of plate here, and then a plate that sort of goes all the way inside the opening in the raised section of the city. So that's sort of the basic template of what I'll be doing, and yeah, let's start there. Here we go, this is the sliding section finished. This will slide over the base plate that's inside the raised section. I've also added a couple of arched pieces just to get a sense of where the road can actually go underneath here, and how wide the water part of this is going to be, because the water is 8 studs wide. The edge of this build is going to be right here at these 2 studs right here. So the edge is going to be here on the 3rd one, and that means of course I can build inside. That's no problem at all, but I need to have the edge of this right here at least sort of bulging this way to make any sense at all. So that's going to be interesting to do. I've never done something like this before, and we're going to have to see how this will integrate with this part of the build, because the water, when it comes down from up here, it's going to have some place to go. Maybe I need to turn the water this way and make it go into the ocean that is over here, which would be fine. I could leave in the lighthouse then, but I would have to move this out of the way. But that wouldn't be a problem either. I think that could work fine. So yeah, that is the way I will be doing this today. This is shaping up at this point. I know it looks very, very weird at this point, but this is basically just a structure. It's going to be inside the whole thing, just to hold everything together. And when you look inside this tunnel thing, you're going to see just this wall here, but it's going to be very dark in there anyway, so I don't think it's going to matter too much how it looks in here, but we'll see once I get to that point in the finishing process. So what I need to do now is make the wall up here so it looks neat, and then I need to make this overhang and the rest of the mountain over here. And of course I have to add in water, which is going to be very exciting. I'm thinking it should be a sort of a two-step waterfall, because that would look great, I think. So yeah, that's what I'm going to work on now. First I'll add in some black tiles here just to finish off the road look, and yeah, then I'll move on to the more interesting decorative part of this waterfall. I just did a bit of measuring, and this right here is exactly the same height as the ground level or the ground floor of the Ninjago City district. So this is going to fit very neatly right here. I don't know, I think I'll do sort of a naturalized top to this with the mountain sort of being very mountainy, not a fence. I think that'll look good. And this needs to be taken down just a bit, because this is too tall for the water to actually flow over this. So that's the thing I have to work on as well. But other than that, this is the way I am picturing the wall actually looking. I'm going to add in some cheese wedges up here and maybe a plant or something just to liven up the place a little bit. So this is sort of the general direction of this, and yeah, I'm looking very much forward to see how all of this will look once it is done and back in the city. Here we go, that's the two sides made. This one is a little hard to see over here, but it is there. And this one as well. This one is a little more wobbly than this one over here. Maybe I can do something about that. But other than that, this is sort of the idea I have. Now I've got to put in both sides here on each side, that'll sort of hold the water. And I've also got to put in a layer of blue plates, I think, to sort of initiate the idea of water. And then I need to add in a layer of dark bluish transparent tiles to give that wonderful sense of blank water. Of course, I'm going to do something with the waterfall itself as well, which is going to be interesting to say the least. I've never done something like that before. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and work continues. You may be wondering how I am making these mountainsides. Now I may use stuff like this and then just offset something like this and use a small cheese wedge like this, for instance, and you've got some very interesting cliff side which looks very dynamic. Now this may not look sort of realistic in the sense that mountains may actually sort of lean more inwards in a sense, but I like this cliffside, and maybe, you know, just maybe there are cliffs out there that are this steep. Of course, that's a little tip for you. You can use it if you want to, and if you have better ideas for how to create mountainsides, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to hear your great suggestions for creating mountains in Lego. I've started work on the water here, and first off I tried to use these regular sloped pieces, but then I remembered I have a bunch of these which are sloped but much more softly sloped, so those would probably work better as a slow falling waterfall. So I think I'm going to use those instead, and maybe some of the longer ones as well, just to give it a little more sort of softer look until it comes to the edge that's going to be over here where it'll have a sudden fall. So yeah, that's the idea for now. Maybe even these would be good to give it a very, very long looking curve. Yeah, so that's what I'm working on right now, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how everything turns out. So here we go, here we have the water falling from the upper floor, and here we're going to have a much more sort of straight down look for the water. I've also started to add in some sides here. Now you may be noticing that this is masonry bricks, and that's because in my mind some of this must have been built. Other stuff, other parts of this may not have been built in the same way. So somebody drilled this hole, and they also made some kind of support right here, which would be the same over on the other side. And this right here would also, I think, be sort of a mixture between something that's built and natural looking, just because they want to tame it a bit when they start integrating a waterfall like this in the city. So sort of a mix between built and natural looking is what I'm going for the rest of this. This is where I'm at this point in time. I am wondering how to make this edge look like it sort of wraps around the water, but I think I'll just have to use more of these sloped pieces in some way. And that just has to be that. Something like this, maybe a little more detailed than that, but something like this, and then have the water sort of slide down in between these, and then we'll see where it has to go from here. But that's sort of the plan right now. It is interesting and a little difficult, but fun nonetheless. So yeah, here we go with the last part of this waterfall. So this is where I'm at this point. It is quite complex to work with this. I've never done something like this before, and I am continually surprised with how difficult some of it is. I have also chosen a difficult way to go about this, I'm sure, because for some reason I chose to build from the up downwards, which makes sense when you're thinking about water, but it doesn't make sense when you're thinking about Lego, because it is, you know, notoriously difficult to actually build upward from up till down. So I don't know why I did that, but that's just how it turned out. Nevertheless, I think it's going pretty well. The water is looking very dynamic. I need to add maybe some white or some foam thing down here to just have the waterfall seem a little more speedy, to make it seem like there's a little rush beside this. I think this works pretty well in the sense that it does look like the water is sort of rushing out here, but other than that it seems pretty calm. Now the water down here is going to be these 1x2 transparent dark blue plates, and it may look a little weird because all of this is actually the regular blue, but that's the best I can do because I don't have any of these pieces in dark transparent blue. Moreover, I'm actually not sure that there are such pieces in dark transparent blue, but I am slowly running out of time for today, so I may not get done with this in this video, but that just leaves my wonderful viewers all kinds of possibilities for actually giving me great suggestions. So please remember to do that in the comments below. That would be wonderful, and on we go. Here we are. This is what I'm gonna have to call a day. I think this turned out pretty good, especially considering I've never built a waterfall like this before. Now, there are going to be some problems with the interaction with this lighthouse over here, that's for sure, but I may switch some things around. Maybe I'll move this little mountain over here and actually make room for it and have the water find its way out to the ocean in the harbor, which is over here. I'll show you that when we get back over to the city. So this is it for now. I'll move this over to the city and we can have a look at how it looks at this point. Here we are back in the city. Bridge is right here, and this is where the waterfall is going to be. And let's get it in there and let's have a look, see how it's actually turned out. Oops. Here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Sliding, sliding, sliding. Always interesting to slide. There. It's knocking against. There we go. And oops. This is the waterfall. I think this looks pretty good. I've got to say that it is definitely something different for my city. And maybe there's a question of scale now that I'm watching it. Maybe this seems a little too big relative to everything else. Well, anyway, it's interesting to build this. I've never done something like this before, and seeing it in its place really makes me think that this was a good decision. I like this. So now I've just got to figure out how to integrate this waterfall with the rest of this base plate. And here we can sort of take in the waterfall as a part of the rest of the Lego Ninjago city. I think this integration around here works really well. It seems very natural to me, and the sort of transition from these here and this fence here to this seems good to me, I think. And the fact that it's also hiding up the sort of connection between the bridge and the underlay is actually, look, that's neat. Yes, I like this. I've got to say that I do like this. And here a last very impressive look of the city. Now you can really start to appreciate the size of this when you watch it sort of from minifigure scale. Actually, minifigure scale would be a little lower. Let's try that. Here we go. Minifigure height, more or less. Not minifigure distance though, but now it's looking very, very impressive, I think. And you can really start to appreciate all the details and what they actually do within the city. So yeah, this turned out great. I'm really happy with that. So without further, I'll go back to me and I'll say thank you for watching. Today I tried to integrate the raised section with the lower section of my Lego city by putting in a waterfall that directly connected to something that was going on in the Lego Ninjago city district. And I think it turned out pretty good. There are of course a lot of tweaking that can be done to this, but the overall look at this point I think works pretty well. But if you have any kinds of suggestions, maybe some photos or a link or something you can show me on how to do good waterfalls and good water in Lego cities, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to hear all of your comments, because water I think is pretty difficult. But that is all for me today. I hope you'll comment, like and subscribe, and I will see you folks next time.